Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to experience the movement of Nick.
This will not get the best of me. The best I am is voided by the best of you and the rest of me bleeding into you. She began to open her mouth, but was halted by the jolting sound of a door slamming. There he walked in, shoulders poised as perfectly as if a care didn't exist, as if he didn't just walk into this. A face I have not seen in almost 15 years. He must have heard the news. I froze. Ice cold glaze upon the face of a stranger, standing against the cold gray walls of that room, blinded by the glare of the moment, staring back at me. This man, a man who walked away from my mother so long ago, he looks different today. This man, a man who infected my mother so long ago, he talks differently today. You see, this man who gave me life, ultimately took it away today. He looked, then he paused. He lowered his body at eye level to meet my gaze as he opened his mouth to speak, asking me how I felt and how I was doing, asking how I was holding up and if there was something he should be doing. So caught up in the snapshot of the scene before him, he didn't even notice her in the room. Didn't notice the pieces of me scattered among us around the room, scattered among my future. Her presence and his past, the windows began to crack one by one above me. Shards of glass hit my face as she attempted to finish her sentence. He finally turned to her once he heard her speak, as if she had information to deliver to him, listening intently to ensure he didn't miss a word. He began to speak over her, massaging the air with language that sounded foreign to me. He asked who she was and why she was there, who she was there to see. What do you need? He asked, shook by the possible relation. She answered, I'm here for her. She slowly slid past him, just carefully enough not to startle him, and sat closest to me on the floor. She said, I have been her support, and she has been my strength. I have nurtured her and have loved her, run hot baths for her, and I know how she takes her tea. I am hers, and she is with me. Tell me, she said, who have you been? This man who not only infected my mother and also infected me, just stood there swallowing time, inhaling my mother's death with every breath. He stared, just continued to stare with no response. Tears welling up, he turned to me. With no words, he asked with his eyes if it was true. I simply took her hand.
He felt alone on the day that he received the news. See, he battled the blues remixed with jazz as he sorted through the emotions that would ultimately lead him to the man that he knows today. Not proud of the behavior that led him to be in this low place of hidden dreams, until one day in his dreams it was revealed that there are many like you. See, he became a victim of love, you see. His crime and his behavior the same. Finally beginning to trust a man laced with unprotected sex that made him feel secure, sex that he measured as love, because every time he heard baby, I love you was also engulfed in his mind. I mean, every time. Now 6 months later, and many unopened condom packs still in the mahogany dressing room drawer, he finds himself dazed and confused, remixing blues with jazz as he sorts through the emotions that's forcing him to live his life a different way. See, it's time. First doctor visit and scared, fearful of the stories he's been told, heart racing, bottom lip quivering, skin wet with sweat, only to possibly hear his story told through the lips of others. Exposed, HIV, Many tubes of blood drawn from the right arm, his veins dodging a needle one by one until finally one vein gives in because it understands that even in the remix, the story must be told. His doctor shares that he must create a plan. See, his doctor shares that a new life can begin in this new life, a full life. Not a life of shame, but possibly a life of victorious triumph, but he must have a plan. So he began to put pencil to pad. He began to have honest conversations about life and love, his hurt and his pain. He began speaking with the dialect unlike he had ever known, and along his way he told stories of many and of his own. See, he told them his life not easy, but he exposed him. Dating not easy, but he disclosed to them. Judging not easy, but he chose him. Breathing not always easy, but he chose to live life. At the risk of not being available to not live in silence, he exposed him. Battling blues remixed with jazz, he lives. He lives, he lives.
She lives. She lives.
He lives. They live. They are we, from the fearless to the high number of the unknown. They are we. HIV is we, and they include all from me to you and you to all of thee that chooses to live and breathe through this epidemic that bears a 3 and sometimes a 4-letter name. Because it looks like we, and we can no longer discriminate and judge those that looks like me and you. Judgment no more. See, it's our responsibility to normalize and remove the hurt that still lurks through our hearts and doors. Shut out no more, because HIV, it looks like me, and it looks like you. You and me is we, and HIV, it looks like us.
Yo, keep it going for Nick.